Welcome back to another delightful episode of the Franchise Happy Hour, where we explore the world of franchising, clink glasses to success, and uncover the stories behind the industry's brightest minds. I'm your host, Dylan DeGroat, and today we're in for a refreshing treat. We're joined by the exceptional Jamie Major, a franchise consultant extraordinaire with FranPath, a valued partner with the International Franchise Professionals Group, also known as IFPG. Jamie brings a unique perspective to the table. Having been on both sides of the franchising equation, he's not just a consultant. He's been in the franchisee's shoes, owning franchises himself before transitioning into consulting. So whether you're sipping on a classic cocktail, enjoying a nice ice-cold brew, or just unwinding with your favorite beverage, prepare for a captivating conversation. Jamie, welcome to the Franchise Happy Hour.
Dylan, thanks for having me. That's some high expectations there, but I appreciate that.
Absolutely. We set the bar high, keep it there, and then cheers to the success at the end, as long as it all goes well. And if it doesn't, we cheers to even more. So wonderful, man. Well, hey, whether you are a franchising expert, an aspiring business owner, or simply someone who's intrigued about the fascinating world of franchising, this episode has something in store for you. So let's dive right into it. All right, Jamie, brother. So I got to ask, what's your drink of choice here?
I have a Stella today, my friend, which
A
I'm going to
Stella
crack open.
Artois. Yeah, I like it. You do the ring trick, huh? That's a
I
good one.
do. It takes a minute. It takes a minute, but I'll
There you
eventually
go.
get it. I just washed my hands, but
That's all right. That's all right. Did you know that the Stella Artois was made as a Christmas beer? That's an interesting fact.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so apparently it was all designed around the holidays, and that's why you see so many like parties out and about around the holidays, and people will have Stella Artois. But yeah, it's all designed around that. I'm just a good old fashioned Miller guy myself when it comes to drinking beer. I'm basic, and I love it. Another thing that I like about is I'm a big bourbon guy. Realistically, if I can have a nice bourbon with a cigar, I'm always into that. So, hey, Jimmy, cheers to you, brother.
Cheers to you, my friend. I would happily share a glass of bourbon or whiskey with you anytime myself. What's your whiskey of choice or bourbon?
Yeah, I'm a big Makers fan. I love Makers.
Can't go wrong there.
I'm simple, man. I tried. Me and Josh actually just recently had some Blantons, and I was like, man, this must be an acquired one. It was a little stiff for me, but I like my old fashions with just Makers in them and stuff.
That's a good choice. I had a buddy of mine buy me some Blantons here recently, and it was yes, it was an honor to drink it, but I stick to Pendleton. You ever drink Pendleton
I've never
out of
had
Oregon?
that one. I've never
Yeah,
had that one.
it's good, man. I'll have to get you a bottle sometime when I see you at a conference.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna be down your way. Well, we got the IFPG conference coming up here, not too far away, actually. That's October, correct?
October, yes, in Florida.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good time. Hollywood, Florida. What a place to be. You playing any golf before then or anything?
I do not play golf. Well, I do play golf. I'm playing in a charity golf this Friday, but it's a sad experience for me to play golf. But
That's all right. Don't worry. I go out there because I'm the guy, you know how like the crew always has that one guy who maybe he's not the best golfer, but he's good at drinking beer and you make sure that the other guys' beers are also topped off. That's me. So I just go out there for the good times.
I like it.
But hey man, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be able to talk about franchising with you. I'd love to just get started with, telling the listeners a little bit about your experience. I know you're a prior franchise owner yourself, and then you transitioned in that consulting role. So we'd love to hear more about your experience and journey through that.
Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate the platform, appreciate the invite, and yeah, it's always fun. If somebody asks me to talk about franchising, I'm in. I don't care if it's a Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club, a podcast, a phone call, a friend, a family, whatever. Franchising has been life changing for me. I get really passionate about it, and anytime we can share the information, share the wealth, I'm happy to do it. So I currently still own multiple units of a business called LE Mental Health, which is an outpatient counseling therapy business, and those in the franchising space know that it was a rocket ship brand. That was pretty early in the process. Our clinic's up and running now. Very I would say, a very semi-absentee business once it's open, but it took a
Mhm.
lot of effort to get it moving.
Right.
To tell people there's no such thing as an ATM in the backyard. There's no such thing as a completely passive franchise. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Um, at least I've never found one.
Yeah.
But they take guidance, they take leadership, they take execution, and ultimately franchising is a business in a box, right?
Mhm.
And so you have this all the things in that box to get the business moving. And my Ellie Mental Health it took a lot of work to get it up and moving and running, but now I'm not a licensed clinician. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I've
Right.
never been to marriage counseling in my life, fortunately. I
Mhm.
have a completely different perspective of counseling now that I own this business.
Yeah.
But ultimately, not having any expertise in that space was value to me.
Mhm.
So it allows me to be semi-passive. And I joke about my role in this business, but it's really true. As I sweep the floor, I take the trash out, I high five employees in the hallway.
Yeah.
I strategize with my clinical director, who's the equivalent of a general manager.
Yeah.
She's amazing, by the way, like
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And before that, I owned a business called Smash My Trash, which was a mobile dumpster compaction business.
Yeah.
Completely different customer acquisition, completely different style of business.
Yeah.
Exit out of that, did fine on it, and franchising has just been a way of life. My wife works
Mhm.
in franchising. She works for one of the larger FSOs right now.
Excellent.
Um, she used to work corporate for Tropical Smoothie,
Mhm.
very large, well-known franchise. It's
Yeah.
the point is it's a way of life for us. It's
Mhm.
truly a way of life for us, and I think like most people in franchising, we stumbled on it. We didn't plan on it. I didn't actively go out and say I'm going to get into franchising.
Yeah. Were you in the corporate world before you started the Smash My Trash?
Yes, and I will tell you unequivocally, I will never go back. Um,
Yes.
Never, ever will I go
Yeah.
back. It is not hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's also not hard to make money in the franchising space. If
Absolutely.
you identify, and this is what we talk with our clients about, and if you identify what you want to put into the business going into it, money, time, resources, passion, energy,
Mhm.
opportunity cost, like
Mhm.
identify what you want to put into it versus what you want to get out of it on the back end. Is it money? Is it wealth? Is it a buy and hold? Is it you're trying to get some sort of liquidity event in 2 years? Are
Yeah.
you trying to get status? Are you trying to add it on as an ancillary tag to an existing business that you have? Like identify what you want to put into it
Mhm.
versus what you want to get out of it. And
Yeah.
a system in the middle, a franchise, can drive that, but you just need to be intentional about it. And all the
Yeah.
time, a lot of clients come and they say, "I don't really care, I just want money." And
Yeah.
I'm going to frankly tell you that it's a dangerous recipe. Money can
Mhm.
come,
Mhm.
but you got to identify what you want to put into it versus what you want to get out of it. And
Absolutely.
money's a part of the equation. It's a huge part of the equation, but it's
Mhm.
not the only piece of the equation.
Right, right. And, oftentimes as you're probably going through with candidates, you know, it's identifying that why, right? And it's exactly how you're describing it. But when they come in with that money, well, there's probably some type of other pain point that's associated. Like you either don't have, you're not making enough now to support your family and you want a different opportunity. It's not necessarily I just want money, right? I don't think that there's always some other tag that goes with that, just like you said. So that's awesome. I heard you talk about working, when you got with the counseling franchise. It sounded like you said it was an emerging brand. Was it you were an early developer on that?
Yeah, I was pretty early in.
That's awesome.
I don't exactly know how many units they've sold. There's round number 150 that are open now,
Hmm. Yeah.
but a couple hundred units have been sold around the country.
Wow. Yeah, that's really incredible to be, you've been able to be a part of that journey and you're still a part of it, as it's growing and getting to kind of connect with those different people. I love that you say, "Hey, I'm the guy who's just kind of there for the culture," right? You're promoting that company's culture and that company's growth, but you give it to the operations manager, your general manager in a sense to, "Hey, run that day to day. I want, you're the expert in this. I'm really good at leadership and I can help people, cultivate opportunities and careers, but you're the person who has the expertise in this." So that's really cool.
She's awesome, and that's exactly how it works out. But you can parlay that same conversation into
Hmm.
really any business, home service businesses, your business that you guys are working on. You can pets business, a car
Yeah.
business. Like it's the same concept works. If you find
Hmm.
a subject matter expert,
Yep.
um, and empower them and let them do it. You don't have to know. You don't have to know everything about the business that you're getting into. And that's where the franchise will
Right.
provide the value to you. They'll provide the marketing, the support, the training. But ultimately, somebody still, a human being still needs to execute, lead, guide, be
Yeah.
accountable. It's not rocket science, but it's just
Right.
finding the right business.
Yeah, yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I've been in franchising now since about February, so I know I'm pretty new to it. But that's why I'm excited to talk to experts like you who have been in around it for a while and seen it develop. Because it's always interesting. You always take something more from every single conversation, and I think it's just so cool to see how somebody can progress through this and really come out understanding so much. And I think it just helps you develop your own core values a little bit more through each individual experience that you have. So, thinking about that and with that in mind, you talked a little bit about your passion involvement in franchising and your inspiration. What inspired you to get into franchise consulting?
So I worked with a lady named Brittany Bodie, she's one of the founders of FranPath Consulting, the group that I work with. And Brittany and I early on established let me back up a little bit. When you work with people and you can tell early on that they're honest, they're good people, they have character, integrity, they speak straight to you. There's not really afraid to hurt your feelings. They're just in it to win it. And I had a pretty early connection with Brittany. And when she opened FranPath, I reached out to her and said, "Hey, let's have some conversations. And by the way, I'm gonna we'll start working on another business, and I'm leaving corporate life. So let's put all this together and see what we can do for each other." And ultimately, I think good people attract other good people, right? That's the value of good culture in a business.
Absolutely.
And the team that her and Sam and have built at FranPath where we're at, it's just growing with other good people coming in here.
Yeah.
And so that's what drove me to get into the consulting space of it. I was probably going to do it on my own if it wasn't for them, but I have a group of people to work with. So when we take clients, we coach each other, we challenge each other. There's a team, but I'm the person that the client's working with, but yet there's 3 or 4 others behind the scenes that are also helping and making sure we're making the right decisions. We spend an enormous amount of time vetting franchisors, vetting the back end of way more than the product, the service, the widget. And I'll tell you a story about Joshua here in a second, but we, things to look at are the leadership team. Leadership matters enormously, right? You can study where the people have been, where they're going, what their history is. You study the financials. Is there private equity involved? If so, what else is in their portfolio? And you can look at the history of private equity firms and see how they've flipped businesses, bought and sold them. And that's a good indication of what's going to happen. Are the other franchises in that private equity portfolio doing well? What type of businesses do they have? Who are the advisors they have in those businesses? Look at trademarks. Look at any bankruptcies, any litigation. Are existing franchisees going back and reinvesting? Are there closures? Like, who are their vendors? How are they making decisions and obtaining vendors? There's so much that goes into it. That we as a team get to all do and share this information as opposed to one individual person doing it. And that's what drives so much value to it. And candidly, I'll tell you, I've made a career out of surrounding myself with good looking, smart women. And so that was another opportunity there.
That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome. So you got to tell me, I know you said there's a story about Josh. I don't like to bring us up at all, but I got to hear it. Anytime I get an opportunity to hear a story about Josh, I got to bring it up.
Well, it's people. Like I'm a people guy. I look for people that are positive, leaders, drivers. That's another reason I love to be in franchising is there's all different walks of life and personalities, but some common traits in the franchising industries. People are drivers, they're movers, they're entrepreneurs. They're not waiting for someone else to do something for them. That's the general mindset of this career and this entire industry across all different market segments. And people are they're hungry and they go. They're doers. Right. And so I got seated at a table last year at Hollywood, Florida. This is why I go to these conferences. And I was seated at a table next to him. And, I talk to anybody. I don't, whoever it is, whatever. So we start talking and he tells me he Joshua Tree experts, and he starts telling me a story. So I just start pelting him with questions. And instantly you can see this guy's energy, how excited he is. He's telling me, but he's basically living in an RV and ready to go follow new open franchisees around the country, wherever they're open. He's like, I'm not going to let these people fail. I'm going to do everything I can to invest in them. and his energy was, I mean, he likes himself. Like, let's not deny that. The guy, but he's confident. He's got good reason to be confident. But
Yeah.
the amount of passion that he had towards his own brand, but also the focus of helping franchisees, that's what you look for. And a
Yeah.
good franchisor has intense laser focus on helping franchisees be successful. It's not selling an agreement and walking away from it. There's a lot to it. And so when somebody gets into an emerging franchise, you want to look for somebody like Joshua that has that drive and that passion and that energy, and that servant leadership to help that individual. When a new investor goes and puts, I don't know the numbers, let's just make it up, $250,000 into opening a business. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And for some people, if they lose that, they're not going to be able to recover from it, or not be able to recover from a long time.
Right.
And so when people come to us and are looking for guidance and advice, we're looking for ways to help mitigate their risk and help steer them to success. We want our clients to have enormous success, to literally go make millions. And in the franchising space, that's highly contingent upon the franchisor.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know, you can it's almost like that old school, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink, right? And I do really believe that, the franchisors, I think that there's different ways to get out there and separate the good ones from the bad ones. And we definitely don't have to talk about that, but it's just more of the fact that, are they there to support you? And what are their, they have goals for you as well, providing not only just like, here's the book and good luck, but like, hey, how can we improve this system, right? Kind of growing with that system. So that's why, I mean, it's exciting to be a part of an emerging brand, because it is just, we want to learn, right? And I think that, and even other franchisees, franchisors, like, for example, like Zoom Drain, they're gaining massive traction. They're getting huge now, but I guarantee that, Ellen still wants to learn from her franchisees. And that's the things that we talk about. And you're absolutely right. And that's what his whole focus on right now is, franchisees. Right. So it's cool to hear that story. I appreciate you sharing that here. When you think about like a success story, is there a specific one that kind of sticks out in your mind? Maybe it's a franchisee. Maybe it's a life you've changed through franchising. Maybe it has nothing to do with franchising at all, but somehow you can relate it back, and I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of success stories, and I'll go back to a personal friend of mine. Shirley, she listens to this. She's 5'2", needs phone books to see over the windshield, or the steering wheel to see out the windshield of a car.
Okay.
And she's out of Boston. She lives in New Hampshire now, but she came to me and she was exiting. She's later in her career, but has plenty of gas in the tank, and came and says, I'm interested in a business. Like, I've got a lot more to do and a lot more to go, and I'm interested in something new. And her husband's an amazing guy too. But this little lady, full of spunk, got into a roofing company.
Nice.
So I tell the story. I tell it all the time. Like, she's literally 5'2", and I promise you, she's not going to be climbing a ladder and swinging a hammer.
Right.
But what she does, she's got business acumen. She's got leadership. She's got an ability to follow a system. She's got the ability to connect with customers. She's got the ability to connect with vendors. She's got the ability to connect with clients. Wow. She's got the ability to drive results. Like, she's got everything, every bit of recipe to be enormously successful. Yeah. And that, and not only to see her launching her business to be successful, but to have the responsibility to take a personal friend of mine, someone that I care enormously about, and guide them into a business that I'm comfortable that she can go make a good living and be successful. And I think success is defined more than money. It's there's so much more to it. To the word success, like, so much more to it. Yeah. Of being happy, enjoying it, knowing your why, knowing what you want to get out of the business. And I feel very confident she's going to be very successful, and it's exciting. And every time I talk to her, I feel re-energized. And that's why you do this. That's the push and the motivation. And it's amazing. It's life-changing when people open their mind up to the opportunities in franchising and see what's on the table. Yeah, there's, and what's crazy is, a lot of people, when they think about franchising, what do they think about? They think about, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A's of the world. They think about, oh, it's always like a retail store, right? Or like some type of food restaurant, but there's just so many different opportunities out there. From home servicing to, like you said, counseling to I mean, there's dog poop franchises, right? Like you could literally pick up dog poop. There's so many different opportunities out there. And if you were talking to a candidate, right? And how do you present, what's your process of taking a candidate down the path of like, here's kind of some of the franchises that I can see you fitting in well with, based on your, what's your process for that?
Yeah, we take a very data-driven approach, a very intentional approach. And my clients, if any of them ever listen to this, they're going to hear me say the word intentional
Okay.
15 times over. But it's all about being intentional and understanding that, and not to beat the dead horse of the conveyor belt earlier, but you understand what you want to put into it. Take inventory of why you want to do this. Are you willing to put time, money, resources, your kids? There's
Mhm.
opportunity costs. Most of our clients
Yeah.
are very, very smart people, and we're asking them to put time and money into this. So what's the opportunity cost of doing that? So take
Right.
inventory of everything that goes into it, and then identify what goes on the back end of it. What do you want to get out of it? What is your
Mhm.
expectation for the business? Is it to generate quick income? Great, let's
Mhm.
go after something that generates quick cash. Is it to build wealth? Is it to get a liquidity event in 2 years? What drives you in terms of passion? Do you like
Mhm.
customers to come to you and you
Yeah.
want to provide that experience? Or do you like leading a sales organization? I think those are two totally different ways of running a
Right.
business. And
Right.
so we take a process, we take our clients, understand their financials, understand their why, take inventory of all the inputs versus the outputs, and then we go through a process with them and find out what also drives and motivates them on
Mhm.
internally. And it's more than money. And
Yeah.
let's just use round numbers here. I would rather you make 235 a year in
Mhm.
your net income versus 250 and the lower the 15K less and absolutely love your business,
Right.
love what you're doing, as opposed to make a little bit more and be miserable with it or be like, man, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because when you have passion and you enjoy what you're doing and you surround yourself with people that are also enjoying what they're doing, that drives additional success, that drives money, that drives margin, that drives employee retention,
Mhm.
customer experience. It drives all the things you need if the
Mhm.
leader and the owner of that business really gives a shit about what they're doing, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like, I'm just in it for money.
Right. Right.
People can
Getting
see
out of
right through it.
Yeah, getting out of that just standard corporate mindset of like, I'm here, I make a paycheck, I do my job, I go home, but I also might do that for 60, 70 hours a week, you know? I think that there's also a different opportunity for franchisees to get back that time. I think a lot of the time when we're talking with candidates, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's a big underlying need for a lot of people is that they just truly want to find happiness. And a lot of times they need more of that time to find that happiness, right? It's not necessarily money. It might in the background seem like it's a money thing. Like, oh, I don't, if I made more money, then I can work, less, a little bit less. But in order to make that more money, you have to work more, right? But that's not actually always the case in franchising. And that's what's so exciting about it. You can have that time and you can make that money at the same time. So I think that that's just a really interesting piece of the franchising puzzle. And I love the way you talked about how you go through that process. If someone out there is listening and they're like, listen, Jamie, I hear it all sounds really great, but I'm a really picky person. How many different brands do you have an opportunity to kind of present and go through with a client?
So the reality is there's thousands of franchises that are out there.
Yeah.
And what we do, and I tell clients this all the time, what we do, it's not rocket science. It's just
Hmm.
being very intentional. That's my word, intentional again. It's being very intentional. Talking to
Hmm.
people like you, coming on podcasts like this, reading franchise magazines, listening to going to conferences,
Hmm.
talking to existing franchisees, talking to prior clients, talking to people that are in other systems that whether they're clients of mine or not,
Excellent.
going to following leadership around
Mhm.
of private equity firms and looking at their
Yeah.
portfolio and just picking up the phone and calling these people,
Mhm.
studying franchise documents, FDDs, looking at just immerse yourself in this industry, in the space.
Mhm.
And ultimately, there's thousands of brands that are out there, and you can
Mhm.
rapidly narrow that down to I don't know, let's say 150, 200. I think
Mhm.
in IFPG there's 700 or 800 brands at any given time
Right.
in that brokerage portfolio. So there's piles of them in there. But for
Mhm.
our criteria, we put extra pressure on it. Just because they're franchising doesn't mean that we're going to put it in front of a client. We
Yeah.
have internal metrics that we require a franchise to meet before we're willing to discuss it with a client, because I care about my client a lot,
Yeah.
enormously actually. So in order to help them be successful, the more picky they are, the more direct and blunt to the point they are. You're not gonna hurt
Mhm.
my feelings. We're not playing with monopoly money.
Right.
Okay, let's get to it. The more curious somebody is, if they're open-minded, curious, and blunt all at the same time,
Yeah.
we can do some quick work,
Yeah.
really quick work.
I love it. I love it. You're definitely putting that personal touch on it. And I can hear the passion in your voice for sure. And as I'm sure the listeners can. So I love the experience that you're bringing. So I want to talk to you about something.
Tell me.
We talked a little bit about some success. Let's talk about some challenges you've had. What have been some big learning curves that you've had to have throughout the franchising experience?
Yeah, on my personal note, I learned Smash My Trash was a good business, right?
Mhm.
And I got into it for the reasons I got into it. We could discuss that on a personal level. What I
Mhm.
learned in that process is I don't like outside sales. And I
Mm.
didn't realize it until I was responsible for it and had to do it. So this changed my mindset of I want customers to come to me. It's a customer
Mhm.
acquisition. I'm different than other people. This is a personal note for me. But my clients will know this if any of them ever listen to this. And anybody that's listening, if I end up working with them, you'll know that I'm going to push you pretty hard on customer acquisition. And it's because I have a bit of a personal scar there. I really did not enjoy the outside sales process. I did not
Okay.
enjoy cold calling, going out, turning door handles, knocking on doors, trying to get
Right.
meetings with people, going through bureaucracy of you connect with somebody who's interested in the service, and then you've got to go chase down 14 people to get through risk management and blah 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 blah, whatever titles people have to go through. I didn't
Right.
enjoy that on a personal note.
Okay.
And so it changed my mindset in terms of wanting a business where customers come to me,
Yeah.
right? And so that's oftentimes a brick and mortar versus a mobile business.
Mm.
Or you can also parlay this into a franchise business that has really heavy digital marketing. I think there's
Mm.
there's plenty of ways to skin the cat. But on a
Yeah.
personal note, I just found, and I didn't realize it um, as much as I thought I would. I didn't realize it that I just despised. I didn't despise it, but I had to motivate myself. I had to give myself a pep talk when I
Mhm.
was going out to go do outside sales. And the people that do outside sales are special human beings. And I have
Yeah.
it's a different. I can't tell you in corporate life how many salespeople that I've hung up on or just never taken the call or you just constantly get bombarded. So I get it from their. I totally get it from their perspective.
Yeah.
But on the salesperson side, I think it's a lot easier now if you just say, I appreciate you calling. I'm not going to do this. I'm not interested in listening to your spiel.
Right.
Or just be curious and be open minded, give them 5 minutes and
Mhm.
see where it goes.
Yeah.
But that was the challenge that I had in running my first bid, the Smash My Trash business, is the
Yeah.
personal motivation. And that parlayed down into motivating my employees, motivating staff.
Mhm.
I loved the product. I loved the service. I loved
Mhm.
everything about it. So once a customer was acquired, I'm in. Like, I got this.
Yeah.
But the customer acquisition process was a challenge for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's I can definitely see why you got into franchising or consulting then. That's
Yes.
exactly what you're doing now. And it makes sense. How have you still been able to, overcome that if there is someone coming into your system and that's what they're interested in, they want to be that person out there. How do you mentally overcome that yourself? Like
Oh
your
yeah.
internal note. Yeah.
Totally. It's not about me. When
Right.
the best business, and this is why to me it's super dangerous for people to get on Google and go searching around for the best franchise to own in Charleston, South Carolina in 2023, and you go
Yeah.
search. That's a
Yeah.
very dangerous proposition.
Yeah.
And because the paid marketing out there, and some of those resources can be helpful, no doubt. Some
Mhm.
of them can be helpful, but some of them are garbage, and
Mhm.
it's paid marketing.
Mhm.
And so through the process for me, it's about being a servant to the individual that's on the line with me. But the best business for
Right.
me to own is vastly different than you to own. And
Yeah.
I'll always share my personal experiences. I'll share anything about my personal experience that somebody wants. But
Mhm.
ultimately, it's about them and
Yeah.
what works for them and what works for their family, what works for their needs. And if your goal is to flip your business in 2, 3 years for a liquidity event, I don't really care if you like it or not. And the
Yeah.
clients will generally say that they don't really care either, because you can grind it out for 2 years in terms of driving that EBIT up to get a multiplier
Mhm.
and flip it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Right.
Let's go after that business that's saleable
Yeah.
and that we can set it up to flip it, versus somebody that wants to hold a business for 10 years or pass it on to their family. That's
Right.
two different ways of going at it. But to answer
Yeah.
your question, um, humbly, I think I'm pretty good
Mhm.
making it about the client and what they need and want. And
Yeah.
ultimately, their needs and desires are not my needs and desires. My needs and
Absolutely.
desires are to serve them.
Yeah, good. No, I knew you would definitely be a good sport on that, but I can tell you're one of those individuals, Jamie. I can already tell that, when you're talking to a client, you're not only, measuring your success or their success by money and time and how much you can, help them. You're also measuring your own success with, hey, their happiness. If we talked about putting that, where are your boxes at? Where, how much time do you want to get back? What's your value that you'd like to be in this? I bet that you're on the back end there keeping a little track of your franchisees saying, hey, look at that. I was able to provide that for this person. This person's struggling on this. I'm going to reach out to him. Is that something that you do as a franchise consultant? Are you, still maintaining that contact with franchisees who have bought and got into
Absolutely.
businesses?
Oh yeah, because by the time they get into a business, you've got a good relationship with people.
Mhm.
And I can't say I've stayed in super close touch with all of my clients, because
Right.
there's different relationships and different personalities and different
Sure.
people and different life circumstances and so forth. But
Absolutely.
ultimately, I only work with people that I like. If
Yeah.
we have a no a-hole rule, like if somebody's just not a fit,
I
no
love
thanks,
that.
bud. You can go find your own business. Or ultimately, it's about surrounding yourself with good people, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I do stay in really close touch with our clients and the clients that I've had. And I
That's
tell you,
awesome.
one of the most rewarding feelings that in any other consultants that listen to this too will know, and you too, Dylan, and when you place somebody in businesses, is when I get, and I always ask for it, and
Mhm.
some give it to me, some don't, but you ask for the first month a picture of their P&L, like just send me a text message
Yeah.
when you're cash flow positive.
Yeah.
Set that goal to get cash flow positive and
Yeah.
circle it on your P&L, or put that phone up to the screen and send it to me.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how rewarding that is to receive that and to know
Uh-huh.
that this individual is on the path for success. They're going to crush it. They're on the way, because
Yeah.
you get your business to cash flowing. You should be able to keep it, barring crazy circumstances. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's to be part of these clients' journey and success every step of the way, from when they sign their franchise agreement to when they get hire their first employee, when they get either their inventory in, or they start construction or
Mhm.
finish construction,
Right.
or their first customer, their first dollar, when their first month profitable. Like, it just to be a part of that and be on the
Yeah.
sidelines for it and cheer them on and root, and it's amazing, amazing.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's a really special touch there. I've never actually heard the whole, "Hey, just send me a picture of that." I love that because it just shows, hey, like I want you to be successful, right? You're like, "Hey, you mean something to me. You are a part of my, you know, while you have a inventory of clients, you are me, that's what you are to me and I want you, just like we're going out providing services for clients and we want them to be happy. You're doing the exact same thing for franchisees. And I think that's amazing. Entrepreneurs are just they kick ass for sure.
No doubt. And we get a lot of referrals too from existing clients. And that's
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the tokens of success that I define success is either a client that either bought a franchise or maybe they didn't, and they
Hmm.
still refer somebody over to you. That's a big
Yeah.
compliment.
Yeah.
And to me, that's one of those things that checks that box of success. It's
Yeah.
not all about making a commission or a success fee. It's
Sure.
really about helping and we do, like, I'm never shy that we make money in this
Right.
equation.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to have their bread buttered somewhere. but
Mm-hmm.
the value that we provide to individuals in this process to get a referral and to
Mm-hmm.
say, Jamie's got this, he'll help you. And I just got an email the other day from somebody. He says, Jamie's a no bullshit guy and we'll get to the point and help you. Like, that's a huge compliment. I really
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes. I love that. That's
I love it
definitely,
too.
yeah. You know, what's been exciting about my going through my learning, and this is just from my perspective, is that, you know, when people, even if it's not the right opportunity, right? And that's totally fine, right? We want to, that's what the discovery process is for, to find out if this is the right fit. They always come back to individuals like yourself and they're like, hey, you know what? It wasn't the right opportunity, but it was like great talking to, you know, Dylan. That's what, like, I love that. I love hearing, you know,
Yep.
the feedback that you get as a consultant on that aspect. I think that that's so great. I'm just, you know, that's my main goal, is to just provide them with the knowledge and to see if it's a good fit. Right. But even if it's not, hey, I just want you to at least enjoy the time that we've had together. Right. And not feel like I just kind of blew you aside and definitely wasn't, you know, interested in hearing what you had to say.
We ask our clients exactly what you're saying right now. We ask our clients to make a decision. Make a
Mm-hmm.
decision of yes, I want to learn more, or no, I'm not interested. And
Right.
no, I'm not interested anymore is a perfectly good decision.
Yeah.
No, this is not a fit. No, I'm not going to proceed forward. No, the brands that we have on the table don't work.
Mm-hmm.
No, franchising in general doesn't work for me. That's a
Right.
perfectly good decision. And
Right.
ultimately, that's what we're trying to guide our clients to, is a
Mm-hmm.
decision. And we want the yes on a particular brand that works for them because
Yeah.
we know the success that can come out of it.
Right.
But no is a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
exactly like you're saying, and you treat people right every step of the way, and you put their interest first,
Mm-hmm.
understand what they need, desire, want.
Mm-hmm.
You put that first and foremost, it comes around.
Yeah.
The world comes back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It might not be, hey, even if it's not a no right now, it doesn't mean it's not a no in 5 years when they, you know, they go back to that corporate job and they're sitting there at their desk and they're like, you know, one of the things, it's like, especially when you buy into a brand, right? And, you know, maybe it's a home service brand or something, and you're like, nah, I don't want the opportunity. And then you see the truck going down the street,
Yep.
right? And then it's like, man, that could have been me, right? Like, and so that's where it's like, maybe I should start thinking about this. So even if it's a no now, it might be a yes tomorrow, right? Or, you know, 5 years down the road. So love that. Treat people the way that you would like to be treated, right? It's a simple
Simple.
proverb that we should live by. And you're right, man. Good energy always comes back around. So hey, you know, if there's any listeners out there and they're like, Jamie, you know, I hear what you're saying. So far, you know, they're feeling good about it. They like what you're saying so far, but they're nervous just to, you know, get into the franchising world. What is some advice that you would give somebody that's actually thinking about coming into the franchise world for the first time?
I think taking the first step is difficult, and you feel like
Mhm.
you're going to be sold. You feel like you're going to be pushed or given some snake oil by either a salesperson or a broker or what have you. And
Yeah.
what I would say is take the courage to have a conversation, be as skeptical as you can be, and if you can
Mhm.
combine that with being open-minded,
Yeah.
you'll know pretty quick if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
And just be really, really skeptical, be open minded, and frankly, put your reservations on the table. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid. This is, and I mentioned it earlier, but it's not monopoly money.
Right.
And time is an invaluable resource. So we're
Mhm.
asking for time in real dollars, not monopoly money. So
Mhm.
those are serious conversations.
Yeah.
So come to the table and put your reservations down, be open minded, be incredibly skeptical, and force either the brand or the individual that you're working with to earn your trust. You don't have to
Yeah.
give them your trust right off the bat. And
Great.
some people aren't going to meet your expectations. That's the reality of it.
Mhm.
I'm not the right fit for everybody.
Right.
My personality and my style is not the right fit for everybody, but I am the right fit for a lot of people. Like
Mhm.
Joshua's Tree Experts is the right fit for a lot of people, but it's not
Mhm.
for everybody.
Right.
And ultimately, just lean in,
Yeah.
be open minded, be skeptical, don't be shy about asking
Mhm.
questions, be a little vulnerable,
Mhm.
and just take the step, and
Mhm.
you'll be amazed where it takes you.
Yeah.
Amazed.
Yeah. I love the idea of being open-minded, but extremely skeptical at the same
Sure.
time, right? Because, I think the biggest issue that I've seen, and this is just a personal thing, is the person who just comes in the first call and says, all right, how much money can I make in this? And then here's my money. How do I sign? And it's like, wow, like we didn't even talk. Like how as much as a brand, as you're evaluating a brand is also evaluating you. It's not
All
like
day.
it's not like you just pay a franchisor and they give you the brand. It's like, no, there's an accepting level that the brand should, put into this. Hey, is this someone we want to do business with as well? So what's some advice that you would maybe give somebody who maybe they're looking at going to like a confirmation day, maybe they're along this process and in this journey? What's some advice that you would give them to how they should think about going into that and getting accepted by a brand?
I think, again, be open-minded, be skeptical themselves, but you got to treat it a bit of an interview to
Mm-hmm.
where they're interviewing you just as much as you're interviewing them.
Mm-hmm.
And a good franchisor does not care if you can fog a mirror and write a check. They genuinely don't care.
Right.
They care about your character, your integrity, how you're going to run the business, how you're going to fund the business. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have the financial capacity to not only get it started, but brace
Absolutely.
yourself for a rainy day? If you get behind the eight ball a little bit in terms of getting to that cash flow, do you
Mm-hmm.
have the financial means to cover that?
Yeah.
Are you financeable? What's your legal strategy in terms of how are you going to structure the business? You're going to have
Mm-hmm.
partners in the equation, but
Right.
you got to treat discovery day and when you meet these people in person as truly a job interview for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, for them. It's okay for you to say no as the
Mm-hmm.
candidate, but it's also okay for the franchisor to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things we look for is franchisors that are very particular about
Sure.
who they bring into their system. Because you
Mm-hmm.
start surrounding yourself with people that aren't up to running a business, you bring in bad operators.
Yeah.
That's a cancer within the ecosystem of that franchise, and it's
Right.
dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And those who have been in franchising for a long time have seen it many times
Mm-hmm.
over.
Right.
Um, and so the more discerning franchisors
Mm-hmm.
is that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
So when you go, not only present yourself in the best fashion you can, but I
Mm-hmm.
also encourage clients to treat every individual that they're at Discovery Day, treat
Mm-hmm.
all these other people as a consultant. They've
Yeah.
asked questions that you haven't asked. They've looked at numbers that you haven't asked. They might have owned franchises that you've never owned. They
Right.
might have some sort of perspective that you just don't know. So the people at the bar that evening at Discovery Day, or the
Yeah.
people that you meet with, whoever it may be, treat them all as a consultant in all directions, being able to share information and also
Mm-hmm.
get information. And the goal of the whole process is for your confidence level to be astronomically high. You need
Mm-hmm.
to know when you sign your franchise agreement, you pay a franchise fee, you get into that business, that your confidence level is high, not
Yeah.
marginal. It needs to be high. And
Yeah.
that's the value of franchising is the entire process is very, very transparent. And
Mm-hmm.
Discovery Day is a piece of that transparency.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, man. It's so refreshing to hear from a consultant that it is important that brands are particular about who comes into their system, right? Because it really is it's a representation of your brand in a national presence. And I think it's super important and that's awesome to hear. So glad that there are consultants just like you out there being almost skeptical of the brands. Hey, I don't want to work with people who are just taking everybody. I want you to, tell me what's going on and provide that feedback. So that's excellent, man. Hey, thank you so much, Jamie. I got a couple things I want to do, but before we get into my little surprise for you, if someone's interested in talking to you, Jamie, the way that you like you said, you're a no bullshit kind of guy. If they're a no bullshit kind of person, how do they get in contact you, Jamie? What's the best way?
I'd love to have a conversation. Anybody who wants to talk about franchising, like, just reach out, have a phone call. I'll give you my cell phone number. I'll rattle that off in my email. My personal cell, call, text, email anytime. 208-626-8141. 208-626-8141. I live in Idaho. It's an Idaho number. call, text, email. And my email is Jamie, Jamie, at FranPathConsulting.com. Jamie at FranPathConsulting.com. Find me on LinkedIn, go to our website, whatever. Just send whatever. Send the smoke signals. If it's about franchising, I'm having a conversation.
I love it, man. That's super exciting. I'll leave some of that stuff in the description there for everybody who, in case you weren't able to pick that up. But hey, Jamie, I got an exciting little thing for you. So this
Hopefully
is a little bit.
Hopefully it's better than a Miller Lite.
I might have to not do this bit anymore. No, I'm just kidding. So it is probably a little bit better than a Miller Lite. I don't know. Maybe your expectations are high, but this is a little bit that I call Ask Chat GPT, right?
Okay.
So what I've done is I've gone on to Chat GPT, asked it to give me a situation in which Jamie has two different outcomes to choose from. And I'd like to just kind of introduce a personal side to the viewers for you through this. So this is the situation that ChatGPT gave me. So, Jamie, you are standing in a rustic hidden beach. The waves are gently lapping at your toes. In front of you are two paths for you to choose from. The first path leads to a captivating underwater cave known for its breathtaking bioluminescent display. Here you can don a snorkeling gear and immerse yourself in a mesmerizing world of glowing marine life. The second path takes you to a nearby dense ancient forest, where you embark on a hike to discover the ruins of a long forgotten civilization, hidden in the forest with mysteries awaiting to be unraveled. Will you dive into the enchanting underwater cave or venture into the depths of the mysterious forest?
I'm going to the forest, my friend. I want to study the ancient history. I think history will always repeat itself. And if we can study and understand the history, then we can know where the future lies. And as much as snorkeling sounds fun, I'm headed to the forest, my friend. That's fun.
I love it. Well, hey, if you were headed to the forest, you'd probably enjoy a good conversation with Jamie. And I know that I've enjoyed this conversation. So, Jamie, thank you so much again, brother. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the Franchise Happy Hour. And hey, on that note, cheers, brother. So here's the cheers to franchise success. How about that? I love
cheers
it, brother.
Cheers to you too. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, and I love your energy and what you're doing to the podcast, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, not a problem. I'm here for you. Hey, if you're out there and you're listening, definitely reach out to Jamie Major if you're looking for someone who does not want to bullshit you. And I love it, and I love everybody else. So cheers to everybody. Here's to franchise success, baby.
Cheers.